My wife died quietly. No drama, no warnings, just gone. But a week later, I found a key hidden inside her will. And when I opened the storage unit it belonged to, I realized I never really knew her. Grief doesn't hit you all at once. It creeps in, slowly, silently, until one day you realize the person you loved is never coming back. My name is Henry Carter. I'm 58 years old. And for 32 years, I believed I had a simple life, a normal marriage, a wife I understood. Her name was Sarah. Quiet, kind, predictable. The kind of person who didn't keep secrets. Or at least, that's what I thought. Her death was unexpected, not suspicious, just sudden. A heart condition we didn't even know existed. That's what the doctors said. And I believed them, because sometimes believing is easier than questioning. The funeral came and went. People showed up, said the usual things. She was a wonderful woman. I'm so sorry for your loss. She'll always be with you. Words, empty, because none of them changed the fact. She was gone. A week later, I met with the lawyer to go through her will. I wasn't expecting anything unusual. Sarah wasn't complicated. She didn't own hidden assets, didn't have unfinished business. Or so I believed. The lawyer handed me a small envelope, separate from everything else. That one is personal, he said, his tone slightly different, enough for me to notice. I took it, opened it slowly. Inside, a key, small, metal, plain, and a note, handwritten. Her handwriting, I recognized it instantly. My fingers tightened slightly, because suddenly, this didn't feel normal anymore. I read the note. If you're reading this, I'm gone. I'm sorry. You deserve the truth. Storage unit, 314. You'll understand when you open it. That was it. No explanation. No emotion. Just instructions. And a sentence that didn't sit right. You deserve the truth. What truth? About what? About her? About us? Or something else entirely? I looked up at the lawyer. Did you know about this? I asked. He shook his head. She insisted it be given to you exactly as written, he said. Of course she did, because whatever this was, she didn't want anyone else involved. Just me. That made it worse, because secrets, when left like that, they're never small. I drove home with the key in my pocket. Didn't tell anyone. Didn't call anyone, because I didn't know what this was yet. And until I did, it was mine to carry. That night, I didn't sleep. The note kept replaying in my head. You deserve the truth. Over and over again. Like a warning. Or maybe an apology. The next morning, I went to the storage facility. Didn't think. Didn't wait. Because curiosity, once it starts, it doesn't stop. The place was quiet. Rows of metal doors. Identical. Cold. Numbered. I walked slowly, looking for it. And then I saw it, right where she said it would be. I stood there for a moment, just staring, because this was the point of no return. Once I opened it, whatever was inside would become real. And part of me didn't want that, because not knowing still gives you peace. Knowing changes everything. I took the key out, held it in my hand. Cold, heavy. Even though it was small, I inserted it into the lock, paused, just for a second, then turned it. The lock clicked, loud, final. I lifted the door slowly, metal scraping against metal, echoing in the empty hallway. And the moment it opened, I knew this wasn't normal. Inside wasn't furniture, wasn't storage, wasn't anything I expected. It was organized. Too organized. Boxes, files, photographs, all arranged carefully, like someone had been preparing this for a long time, and at the center, a chair, facing a table, with one single file on it, waiting. For me, I stepped inside, slowly, closed the door behind me, because now, this wasn't just curiosity, this was something else, something deeper, something I wasn't ready for. I walked to the table, sat down, and opened the file, and the moment I read the first line, my entire world shifted, because my wife wasn't who I thought she was. Some truths don't shock you instantly. They sink in, slowly, piece by piece, until you realize nothing is what you thought it was. I sat there, in that silent storage unit, the file open in front of me, and for the first time since Sarah died, I felt something different than grief, confusion, because the first page wasn't emotional, wasn't personal, wasn't even about us. It was a report, structured, detailed, precise, like something written by someone who didn't deal in feelings, only facts. The title read, Subject, Henry Carter. My chest tightened, because suddenly, this wasn't about her anymore. It was about me. I flipped to the next page. More documents, dates, locations, movements, my movements, places I had been, meetings I had attended, people I had spoken to, all recorded, all tracked, all known. My hands went cold, because this wasn't memory. This was surveillance, detailed surveillance. Why? I whispered, not expecting an answer, because the only person who could explain it was gone. I kept reading, because stopping wouldn't change anything. It would only delay the truth. The next section, photographs, printed, clear, undeniable, me, in places I didn't recognize. Or maybe places I didn't remember. That thought, that one thought, made everything worse. Because now, this wasn't just about what she knew. It was about what I didn't. I flipped faster, page after page. And then, I saw something that made me stop completely. A date, 3 months ago. A location, an address I had never seen before. And next to it, a note, handwritten. Her handwriting. He doesn't remember this. My heart dropped. Because that sentence, it didn't just suggest something, it confirmed it. There were parts of my life I didn't remember, and she knew. She had been watching, recording, tracking something even I wasn't aware of. I leaned back in the chair, trying to breathe, trying to think, because this didn't make sense. Not logically, not emotionally, unless there was something wrong with me, something I didn't know, something she had been hiding or protecting. Henry, her voice echoed in my memory, soft, calm, familiar, and suddenly, that memory didn't feel the same, because now, everything had a second meaning. Everything had a shadow behind it. I forced myself to keep going, because answers were in this file, somewhere. The next section, medical records. That made my chest tighten instantly, because medical records, they don't lie, they don't guess, they state facts. And the fact written there changed everything. Subject exhibits signs of dissociative episodes. I froze. Read it again, slower, carefully, hoping I misunderstood. But I didn't. Dissociative episodes, memory gaps, unaccounted time, unexplained actions, things I did without remembering doing them. My hands started shaking, because now this wasn't about secrets. This was about me, about something inside my own mind, something I didn't know existed, or didn't want to know. I flipped to the last page, because now I needed answers, not hints, not pieces, answers. And there it was, a letter from her, handwritten, personal, real, my name at the top. Henry, if you're reading this, it means I'm gone, and it means I failed. Failed? That word. It hit harder than anything else. Failed to protect you. Failed to stop it. Failed to tell you the truth when I still could. My chest tightened, because now, this wasn't just explanation. This was confession. You started changing a year ago. At first, it was small, forgetting things, missing time. But then, it got worse. My breath slowed, heavy, uneven. People came looking for you, asking questions you couldn't answer, about things you didn't remember doing. My mind raced, trying to connect, trying to understand. But nothing fit. Nothing made sense. I tried to keep it from you, tried to handle it myself. But I couldn't. I closed my eyes for a second, because now, everything I thought I knew was breaking apart, piece by piece. They're watching you, Henry, and they're waiting. That line changed everything, because now, this wasn't just internal. This wasn't just psychological. There were other people involved, people who knew, people who were waiting for something, something connected to me. I left this here so you can see the truth, so you can decide what to do next. Decide. That word, it mattered, because it meant this wasn't over, not even close. This key wasn't just for answers. It was for a choice. I stared at the page, long, silent, because now I understood. Not everything, but enough. Enough to know. My life wasn't what I thought it was. My memories weren't complete, and my wife had been trying to protect me from something I didn't even know existed. I closed the file slowly, looked around the storage unit, at the boxes, the evidence, the truth she left behind. And for the first time, I wasn't just confused, I was afraid. Because if I couldn't trust my own memory, then what could I trust? And worse, if people were watching me, then what were they waiting for? I stood up slowly, heart heavy, mind racing, because now this wasn't about the past. It was about what comes next. And whatever it was, I had a feeling it wasn't going to be simple, because the truth she left behind was only the beginning. Some fears don't come from what you see. They come from what you realize. Slowly, quietly, until there's no way to ignore it. I stood in that storage unit longer than I should have. The file still in my hands. My wife's words echoing in my head. They're watching you, Henry. At first, it felt impossible, paranoid, like something you'd dismiss if you heard it from someone else. But this wasn't someone else. This was Sarah, and she wasn't the kind of person who imagined things. She was careful, measured, precise, which meant if she wrote it, she believed it. I stepped out of the storage unit slowly, locked it behind me. But something had changed, because now every sound felt different. Every shadow felt closer. The hallway that once looked empty now felt watched. I walked faster, not running, not panicking, just aware, because awareness is the first thing fear gives you. I reached my car, got inside, locked the doors immediately, and for a moment, I just sat there, hands on the wheel, breathing, trying to calm the noise in my head. You're being watched. It kept repeating, over and over again. I looked in the rearview mirror. Nothing, just empty space. But that didn't mean anything anymore, because if someone wanted to watch, they wouldn't make it obvious. They'd wait, observe, study, just like Sarah had. I drove home. Every turn felt heavier. Every car behind me stayed in my mind longer than it should. But nothing happened. No one followed. No one approached. Just silence. And sometimes, silence is worse, because it makes you think, and thinking leads to questions. Too many questions. When I got home, I didn't go inside right away. I stayed in the car, looking at the house, the same house I had lived in for years. The same place I thought was safe. Now, it felt different. Because if Sarah was right, then nothing about my life was random. Everything had a reason. Everything had a pattern. And somewhere in that pattern, there were people watching, waiting. For what? That question. It didn't leave. Not for a second. I finally stepped out, walked to the door, unlocked it. And the moment I stepped inside, I knew something was wrong. Not obvious, not dramatic, but subtle. Too subtle. The air felt off, like something had shifted, like something had been touched, moved, even if just slightly. I stood still, listening. Nothing, no sound, no movement. But that didn't mean I was alone. I walked slowly through the house, room by room, checking, watching, waiting for something to confirm what I felt. But everything looked normal, exactly how I left it. And that was the problem. Because if someone had been here, they wouldn't leave a mess. They'd leave nothing. No trace. No sign. Just like Sarah. I stopped in the living room, and that's when I saw it. The photo frame, on the table, of me and Sarah. It was slightly tilted. Just a little. Barely noticeable. But I noticed. Because Sarah, she never left things like that. Never. My heart started pounding. Because that small detail, it meant something. Someone had been here, and they didn't expect me to notice. I walked closer, slow, careful, like I was stepping into something invisible. And then I saw it, under the frame, a piece of paper, folded, placed deliberately, not hidden, not dropped, left. For me, my hands felt cold again, because now, this wasn't just suspicion. This was confirmation. They're watching you. I picked up the paper, unfolded it slowly, and read, "We know you found it." My breath stopped. Because that sentence, it wasn't a guess. It wasn't a warning. It was knowledge. They knew. About the storage unit. About the file. About everything. And the next line made it worse. "You're already part of this." Part of it? No, that couldn't be true. I didn't choose this. I didn't know about this. I wasn't involved. But then, Sarah's words came back. "You don't remember this." And suddenly, that line meant something else. Something darker. Because if I didn't remember, that didn't mean it didn't happen. It just meant I wasn't aware of it. And that was worse. I kept reading. One chance. Walk away. Or come back tonight. Unit 3, 14. Alone. My hand tightened around the paper. Because now, this wasn't just a warning. It was a choice. A direct one. Walk away. And pretend none of this existed. Or go back. And face whatever was waiting. I looked around my house. The silence. The familiarity. The life I thought I had. And, for the first time, I understood something clearly. There was no walking away. Not anymore. Because if they knew I found it, then they wouldn't just let me go. People like that. They don't leave loose ends. And right now, that's exactly what I was. A loose end. I looked at the clock. Hours left until night. Until the decision had to be made. But deep down, I already knew. Because some choices, they're not really choices. They're consequences. And this was one of them. I folded the paper slowly, set it down, and took a deep breath. Because whatever was waiting for me, I was going to face it. Not because I wanted to, but because I had to. Because the moment I opened that storage unit, I became part of something I couldn't escape. Some nights change your life. Not because of what happens, but because of what you finally understand. I didn't wait, didn't overthink, didn't try to convince myself there was another option. Because deep down, I already knew there wasn't. By the time the sun went down, I was already driving back to the storage facility, back to Unit 314. The road felt longer this time, quieter, like the world itself was holding its breath. No music, no distractions. Just one thought repeating in my mind. You're already part of this. I pulled into the lot. Empty. Of course it was. No cars. No people. Just rows of silent metal doors. I stepped out. The air colder now. Sharper. Each step I took echoed. Louder than it should. I reached Unit 314. The same door. The same lock. But this time, it didn't feel like a place. It felt like a trap. The door was slightly open, just enough to notice. They were already inside. I pushed it open slowly and stepped in. The light was on. The chair still there. The table still in the center. But now, I wasn't alone. A man stood near the back. Tall, still, watching me. His face, calm, too calm, like none of this was unusual. You came, he said. His voice, even, controlled, like this was expected. I didn't have a choice, I replied. He gave a slight nod. Exactly, he said. That word, it meant something, because to him, this wasn't a situation. It was a process. You've been watching me, I said. Not a question. A fact. Yes, he replied. No hesitation. No denial. Just truth. Why? I asked. He took a step closer. Because of who you are, he said. That didn't make sense. Not yet. I'm nobody, I said. He smiled slightly. No, he replied. You just don't remember. That line again. And suddenly, everything connected. The file, the notes, Sarah's warnings, the missing time. It all pointed to one thing. Something inside me. Something I didn't understand. What did I do? I asked. And for the first time, my voice wasn't steady. Because now, I wasn't just looking for answers. I was afraid of them. He looked at me carefully, like he was deciding how much to say. Then finally, he spoke. You built this, he said. My mind went blank. Because that wasn't possible. This entire operation, he continued. The system, the network, the structure. You created it. No, I said immediately. That's not true. It is, he replied. Calm, certain. You just chose to forget. Chose? No, that didn't make sense. You were different back then, he said. Focused, strategic, dangerous. Each word felt heavier, more real, more impossible to ignore. And when it started getting out of control, he added, you walked away. Walked away? You erased yourself from it, he said. Cut your ties, buried your memory. And your wife? He paused. She helped you. That hit the hardest. Because Sarah, she knew from the beginning. She wasn't hiding something from me. She was protecting me from myself. She kept it together after you left, he continued. Maintained what you built until she couldn't anymore. My chest tightened because now everything made sense. The storage unit, the file, the key. It wasn't just a secret. It was a backup, a way to bring me back, or warn me, or maybe give me a choice. She's gone now, he said, and that leaves you, just me, again, at the center of something I didn't remember creating. You have two options, he said. Of course I did. People like him always give options, but they're never equal. Take your place again, he said. Finish what you started. Or, he didn't finish the sentence. But he didn't need to, because I already knew. There is always an or. So, what would you do if this happened to you? Would you confront the truth? Or walk away and never look back? Because in real life, truth doesn't always bring peace. Sometimes it destroys everything you believe in. If this story hit you, don't forget to like. Drop your thoughts in the comments. I read every single one. And if you want more real-life emotional stories like